What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Stellaris and the Roman Star Empire. Now, it's been a while, 2 weeks, since the series basically ended already, but I've come back now because I did promise a epilogue video, and that's what we're here for today. And in today's video, there's going to be a little bit of gameplay, not much. There's one thing left to do. I'll get to that in a second, but other than that, I would like to just kind of go over, you know, the demographics and things like that I mentioned, and also just the, you can't really call it geopolitical landscape, I guess the galaxy, yeah, just the galactical political landscape sort of thing, because that's really interesting. I think that could be a really cool, you know, foundation for a sci-fi story. I really like the blocks that we have right now. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to talk about. And then at the very end, I want to give a very, very minor review of Stellaris at this state. And basically, I just want to complain about one thing that really bothers me. But yeah, we'll get to that one after another. So first, let's talk about the one thing that I still wanted to do. I have already prepared this. I have gone forward a few months as well, build up a little bit more of our fleets. We've started colonization of the Font of Knowledge, even though that doesn't really matter. And we're also about to colonize that last planet from the Tikan that we destroyed. But yeah, basically, here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to send a small transport fleet here to land armies on the planet of Xort, which is inhabited by this primitive civilization that is in the Steam Age, the Bos Partuk civilization. They do have an army here. They have 3 industrial armies with an army strength of 9. Now, our armies have a strength of close to 80. So, well, that's our robot armies. Our regular troops have a strength of 40. Still, these 3 soldiers will have no chance. So it's going to be quite a slaughter, and we do have a butcher here, if I'm not mistaken. Yapra Vagras. Yeah, he's going to have no issues taking this planet. So let's go forward quickly. I do want this to be taken, and of course, this civilization will be added to our empire, and they will be made into slaves. Okay, yeah, they're just being destroyed very easily. So there, we have subjugated the primitives. Our armies have successfully invaded and subdued the primitives' forces of Xort. The locals have given up all attempts at fighting back, and we have now subsumed their civilization into our empire. Although, backwards as they are, it may take some time for the natives to become fully productive members of Roman society. So they get a stellar culture shock, which is perfectly fine, and we can now upgrade all of their buildings, and they're immediately enslaved, which is perfect. Yeah, I don't think we need to leave anyone here. I don't think they're really going to be able to do anything. So, yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to do, because I feel it fits for our xenophobic empress. She's kind of interested in taking that over. Anyways, so yeah, that's one thing. They are part of this sector over here, part of the Lorongo sector, which is, I believe, our most powerful sector, even though it doesn't look all that large. We have much larger sectors. Well, the Traxxas sector is larger, and of course, the new Prothoran sector here. But they have to be built up, and so at this very moment, if we have a quick look here, their industrial capacity is just no match for the Lorongo. Look at this. 500 minerals and energy credits, that's insane. I mean, the other production is good too. It just can't reach the Lorongo sector, so that's pretty amazing. We got Marcus Verum Sigithim still in control, ruling over 132 pops. And yeah, look at the other sectors. They have like a third of that, maybe half in the Traxxas sector. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, other than that, we can see all of our core world planets, and they are all kind of governed by one governor, which is weird because they're all over the place. But yeah, Casula, Vitrisicus. We can actually have a look at our leaders here. So I did talk about our governors already. You are governing the Prothoran. You govern the Lorongo, the Traxxas, Mania Papius. Very cool. Yeah, and then the core sector is governed by you. We've got our scientists, although I don't know if they've not really been playing a role. Like, individual scientists were not all that important. We would just kind of switch them out whenever. Then we've got our admirals. I think the best at the moment is actually Nona Ogolanius. But, yeah, clearly they've taken some damage. Some mental damage when fighting the Praetorians. And yeah, of course, we've got our 2 generals, but they're really not all that important. That's one of the things, I guess I'm actually going to complain right now, which I really dislike about Stellaris, is that the disparity between fleets and armies is huge. Like, an army basically does not matter. I build one up in the end, the clone armies and so on and so forth, because, you know, you guys requested it, and also because, you know, we just could. But really, it's not all that necessary. Like, yeah, of course you need to invade planets, but that's it. Like, if you have enough time, you can just bombard them and then send in one single dude. You don't really have to have a huge army. And, well, rebellions, they can quell rebellions. Like, right now, we have our army here on the Zigmark planet, because the people here are pretty upset. And of course, if they ever rebel, we will crush them. But the problem I have is that having this huge military force present should prevent them from even thinking about rising up. And I think in earlier instances, I seem to remember that was the case. Like, the unrest was reduced when you had forces present, but that is no longer the case. And, you know, the unrest is reduced by having fortresses around, but not by actually having troops on the planet, and it's just kind of stupid. So, yeah, that's one of the problems I have. And the other issue I have is that, basically, if you lose your fleet and your starports, it's over. Like, not just it's over. I mean, obviously, fleets as a star empire, a fleet is important, but there's no, like, you have no chance. And in most of science fiction, there's many instances where single planets, even if they had no big fleet, they were still capable of defending themselves. And I think that is really weakly represented in Stellaris. Like, your planet, having armies, fortresses doesn't really help. I kind of miss these large-scale battles on the planet. I know that this is not the focus of the game, but this is really something I would love to see. Just make the army more important, make planets more important, and just, you know, allow you sometimes to just drag out. Defend your planet, have like this last stand type of thing, like XCOM or whatever, where, you know, aliens are already invading, but you're still able to fend them off. You're constantly recruiting new troops and stuff. That would be something I would love to see, and not just planets being bombarded from orbit without any repercussions. But yeah, that was just a little bit of a rant. Other than that, I do enjoy Stellaris quite a bit. Yeah, I've been, getting off track here a little bit. I wanted to just talk about what's been going on. So yeah, obviously, we've got the several Roman sectors. I did show off the leaders. I did want to show the demographics as well. So let's have a quick look here. I'm not sure if this is the best representation, but we can see that, yeah, about 2/3 of our population are humans, or neo-humans, which is the cyborg humans. And then second largest population is actually the synths, the robots, 18%. That's pretty impressive, because we do use them for our armies as well as for mining most of the time, if we don't use slaves, that is. And then another few mentions, I guess, honorable mentions, the Zigmark that we already talked about. Very rebellious, making about 2%, Jesus, of our population. It's significant for a single race. And then, of course, the largest non-human, non-robot race is actually the Neo-Larongo, about 9%, which is pretty significant. They were lucky that when we defeated them, we did not yet have the neutron sweep weapon that we later developed, because the Tikan are completely wiped out, with the exception of Erasmus, which I believe, actually, hold on, I'm not certain. No, this belongs to the Kithri. I believe on Kador, this is where they still survive. I think there we find a few Tikan. Yeah, there you go. They have some Tikan left because the Kantari are not as cruel as we are, apparently. So yeah, they have survived in the lands of our vassal. But yeah, that is the demographics. Let me quickly show it here as well. I mean, I've gone over this already, but yeah, here you can see it maybe a little bit better. Maybe by population, it's a little bit easier to see. So yeah, you go humans, Synths, Larongo, and then the Zigmok, and then yeah, it basically is just a handful of people, so it's really not all that much. It's not really worth mentioning, I suppose. Yeah, other than that, what else is there to talk about? I guess I should mention the wonders that we have built in a way. We do have a gateway network that basically connects all of our most important systems in the Roman Star Empire, which is really cool. We do have a partial Dyson sphere that is about to be finished, but it does take quite a long time, and I'm not going to wait for it to finish because that's, I mean, it's just going to close it off entirely. I think that's basically all that happens, but that's cool, and we really do not need the energy anyways, so yeah, there's no point in waiting. We do have a dragon that we have found hatched, I guess, very early, well, into the mid-game, I guess, and that ever since has been protecting the wormhole here. I don't think we've ever been attacked through the Hades wormhole, so, you know, in that regard, the dragon did a pretty good job, and it's been basically the pet of the Emperors. I would like to imagine that we have our Emperor or Empress kind of in a spacesuit just sitting on top of this dragon and flying into battle. That would be really cool. I would really love if you could actually select a leader for the dragon, having a dragon rider. That'd be so cool. But yeah, whatever. So yeah, that's basically what's been going on. And one other, I guess, wonder that we could that I could show off here is, of course, our planet killer weapon, the Pax Romana class Sol Invictus, that has cleansed entire planets with one strike. Pretty powerful Colossus weapon, and that's obviously being built in our second shipyard here in the Titan system on the planet of Vulcan. And in Sol, we have our huge shipyards for our large fleets. We've got our Titan ship, we've got 4 Titans, and then we've got plenty of battleships and other fleets as well. We do not have the largest fleet, however. Our largest fleet has a fleet strength of 121k. There's one fleet that is larger, and that is the Federation fleet of the Golden Concord. I can't see it right now. That's pretty unfortunate, but that one is pretty powerful. That one has 160k strength, so quite formidable. And yeah, this is the Xarians right now. This is actually Andarum. They have 100k on their own. Pretty impressive. And yeah, right now, the Glorious Entente, consisting of these 4 nations and this one here, this one exclave they have, is at war with the Golden Concord. And I find it very interesting and quite bold of the Hithians to rival us. Oh no, actually they're no longer a valid rival. Ah, I see. Never mind. Okay, I misinterpreted that. Yeah, I thought that they were still our rivals, or they had just rivaled us, but that's not the case. But then the Yandarum are very, very powerful. They have about 200k fleet strength, maybe even more than that. So yeah, basically, let's talk about the political landscape right now. We obviously have the factions, but I think it comes down to, well, no, differently. The world, or the galaxy is split into 3 types of nations. Well, I have split it like that anyways. There's 2 primary nations. That is the Roman Star Empire, obviously the largest and strongest nation in the world. But they're being rivaled by the Kingdom of Yondarum. They're very, very powerful. They're equivalent, at least in economy, they're close. In terms of population, they're close. And in terms of military strength, it's kind of hard to determine because they are, it says they're inferior here, both in naval capacity and fleet power, but we shouldn't forget that a lot of their strength is tied up in their federation. And yeah, as I mentioned, they have a federation fleet of 160k, which is, well, quite something. And, you know, as you can see, they do have their own vessels, and they have a personal fleet strength of about 200k, so they're certainly not to be underestimated, even if it says inferior. So those are the two primary nations, the Roman Star Empire and the King of Yondarum. And then we have two secondary nations. We have the Great Hithian Empire, which was up until recently, our rival, and is leading the Golden Concord. And then we have the Holy Xarian Empire, which has been our first rival, and basically has been our rival the entire game. And I think our borders have never changed. Like, ever since we first established them, like, remember when we rushed to secure these chokeholds, the borders have not changed. They have been like this since the beginning of the game. There was, like, some really important battles, early on battles in the Manwood system, where we defended the stronger Xarians, or fended off the stronger Xarian force in a pitched battle. That's pretty interesting, and they're one of the secondary powers together with the Hithians, and then the rest are basically tertiary powers because they don't play a role. The Cathans, Avarians, the Visterius Primus, it just doesn't really matter. And same goes for the Kantari and the Kithri are two vassals. They just, I mean, they're pawns of greater players, and yeah, they really don't really have that much of an impact. And I guess one of the special nations would be the Kantari Hegemony, rebels of the New Kithri Khanate, and sort of a spy outpost, almost, of the Glorious Entente, deep within our territory. Kind of reminds me of West Berlin, you know, being right within Soviet territory there, and being supported. It's kind of cool, but they're not really significant. We could crush them very quickly, and that's definitely something I would want to do if I was to continue this series, but I've decided not to do this. It's just too slow, and it would be too tedious. One of the big complaints I had about Stellaris as well is that, like, just the whole warfare is very, very frustrating in the end, because you need to combine your fleets, because otherwise they will get crushed by the AI, but then you can only really fight on one flank, and then, you know, the AI goes wherever they want and attack you, and your fortifications don't really help that much with fending them off. But that has been changed recently, well, first of all, with the introduction to fortresses in general, but also the changes to the map with the most recent patch has really made the map better, creating a lot more chokeholds and choke points, and that's cool. Unfortunately, I'm still playing with the old map because this is an older save, but that's definitely not going to be an issue in the next series. Yeah, I'm sorry this was a little bit of all over the place, the epilogue here, but it's definitely something I wanted to do. I really loved this campaign, not only because it was my longest Stellaris campaign, but it was a grand campaign, basically. Even if we had some interruptions there, it started off in CK2, was transformed over to EU4, Victoria 2, then unfortunately not Hearts of Iron, that was simply not possible, but eventually we somehow made the connection and got into space as the Roman Star Empire, and I've really had a lot of fun, and I think it's really cool that so many people not only roleplayed in the comment section, which is amazing, but also just in general really watching it and commenting and just being part of this journey, really long journey, is amazing. I mean, we've been following the Roman Star Empire. Basically, we started off as the Byzantines. I don't even know when exactly, but about at least 1,500 years, I would say. That's probably it. 1,500 years, pretty much. That's impressive, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed as much as I did, and I definitely want to do something like this again in the future. Without further ado, that was it for this episode in this series, and I hope to see you guys next time.